Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Crafty Christmas in July event that is hosted by Lisa from Paper Lace and Bling and Terry from Sweet Pea Papers. Both of their YouTube shops and all of their other social media and Etsy shops are listed below, along with all the other collaborators in this series. So feel free to check all those out below because there is tons of content that's going to be for you to view throughout the entire month of July. So for my project, I am making a traveler's notebook size December daily. And I did this in my last video where I did the unboxing. So if you missed that, go to the end of that video and check this out. That's what I'm going to be using. I'm also going to be using some of the leftovers from my Graphic 45 Warm Wishes paper. This is last year's paper collection, and since this year's collection hasn't been released yet, I'm going to use this because I think it matches perfectly with my little cover that I have designed. Not intentional, it just kind of worked out that way. And if you follow my channel, you know how much I love Graphic 45. So even though I'm not a brand ambassador anymore, I still will definitely be using Graphic 45 papers. So this is going to be used to embellish all of my daily spreads. But for those spreads themselves, I have my little pages already made, and I'm going to show you how I did this. So I've taken just red, cream, and black cardstock in 8.5 by 11 sheets. I get my cardstock from Michaels. You can use whatever you want, whatever works best for you. So I've taken an 8.5 by 11 sheet and I've cut this down to 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And then I scored this at 4.25 inches on the 8.5 inch side. And I just folded on those score lines to create my pages. Now for my first signature, I have 5 pages that will be the first 9 spreads in my book. So the front and back, I'm going to leave decorative, and it's not going to have a December daily. But starting in here, this will be day 1, then day 2, and then day 3, and so on. For my second signature, I only have 4 of them. So I have a black, a red, a cream, and a black. So this will hold the next set of December dailies, but again, I will not be using the front or the back. Those will just be decorative and pretty in my book. And then in the third signature, I have 5 pages again. It's a repeat of the first signature. So I've got red, cream, black, red, and cream. So these are all my pages that are ready to go. Now, if you're making this and you want to add some more pages, let's say you want to have a section where you just add some recipes or some photos, or you want some extra space, by all means, you can add more pages to all of these, however you choose to do so. One other thing to keep in mind is how you're going to put these in your book. So because these elastics are expandable, you can just put these all in here like this, and you don't even have to bind them together if you don't want to. A lot of people do that. That way you can just take the pages out and work on them if you need to at any point in time. So they would all just be together like this. Or you can take them out, you can line everything up, and you can sew them together with a pamphlet stitch like you do in journaling, or you can get a stapler in here and staple these into a booklet as well. So whatever you prefer to do, either one will work, because then you're just going to slip each of these signatures into one of the bands. Now there are also 2 bands in the center of this book. So if you wanted to put 4 notebooks in here, you could actually put 4 signatures in. But I'm just going to do mine at 3. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to bind them together or just leave them loose. So for now, I'm going to leave them like they are, and we're going to get started with decorating some of our pages. I'm going to use my Graphic 45 calendar stamps and my Graphic 45 classic black ink. I've used the December written out, and I've got the 2023 numbers. I'm going to stamp on a piece of this gold Patterns and Solids paper. It's going to go on the first page in my book so that I know what year this is from. Now I'm going to ink my stamp really well. I think I've got some on the block, but that's okay. And I'm not a very good stamper at all. I probably should buy a stamp platform. My stamps don't tend to come out even, so just be prepared. It probably will not be the best stamp job, but it will be fine. I will make it work. So I'm just going to stamp December 1st. And then I've already got on the back side the 2, the 0, and the 3, and I left a little space. I think I might need to have just a little bit. Actually, I'm going to take that off. I'm just going to do the 2 and the 0 first, and then I will add the 23. So I'm going to stamp this here because I'm going to fussy cut these to make them smaller for my first page. So now I'm just going to leave a small gold border around this and cut this out. And I'm going to do the same thing with the 2023. So I'm going to have my first page of my first booklet be red, and I'm going to rough up the edges of this. I just do this with scissors. If you have one of those tools to distress your edges, you can always use that too, but my scissors work just fine. I'm going to take a piece of the 12 by 12 graphic 45 paper. I cut this to 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I'm going to put this here on the front. Now I'm trying to decide if I want to keep it clean or if I want to rough this up too, and I think I'm going to rough these edges up as well. Now I'm not planning on doing this with every single page in my December daily, but I might just do it with my first page of my booklets so that they stand out a little bit. So I like the way this looks. I'm just going to add my adhesive and place it right in the center of my page. Now I'm just using plain old tacky glue that I get from Michael's. It's my preferred adhesive. I think it works really well for paper. So use whatever you prefer. if you have a different type of glue or if you prefer double-sided tape, whatever you prefer. From my Elizabeth Craft Designs Everything's Blooming collection, I have the Fancy Flourishes. I've used this one here. It is gold metallic paper. So I'm going to apply this at the top, and then I'm going to put my Warm Wishes die cut piece from the Graphic 45, the ephemera assortment, right on top like this. And then I'm going to take my December 2023 and place it down here. So I'm going to apply all these to my page, then I'm going to come back and add a little bit of extra stuff. Next, I'm going to take some of this trim that was given to us by Lisa from Paper, Lace, and Bling. And if you go to her Etsy shop right now, if you purchase $15 worth of products before shipping, she'll give you a free yard of lace. And then she also offers free shipping on orders over $35. So you can head over there and see what she has to offer. She has all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to adhere a piece of this right to the front at the top. So I'm just going to cut this to the right length. And then I'm going to bring in my Fabri-Tac. This is the type of glue that I always use for things like fabric, lace, and trim. I just think it holds down really well and I don't have to worry about my trims coming off my paper. So I'm just going to place a little thin line across the top of my decorative paper. And then I'm going to apply my trim right down on top. It looks like this one is glued to the page, so I'm going to tuck this one under the trim so that it's more uniform. I have these little gold metallic half pearls. They're tiny little things. I'm going to use glossy accents, and I'm going to be adding my gold pearls between each of the swoops on my trim. I have these little flat back red gems that I'm going to place for the holly berries on my piece, just to give it a little bit of sparkle too. And I'm going to leave the front of my first signature just like this. For the back of my first signature, I'm going to be using this piece of lace that Lisa sent in our goodie basket. I'm sure you'll be able to find something similar on her Paper, Lace, and Bling Etsy shop. So if you want to check that out, you can. It'll be linked in the description box below. And I'm going to cover this entire back page. So for right now, I'm just going to lay this out here and trim this. And then I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac to adhere this down to my page. I want to use this die cut from the ephemera assortment as my main focal point on the page. And I'm also going to use this little Be Merry banner. And from my Elizabeth Craft Designs Stemmed Flowers, Everything's Blooming, I've used this one here. I cut this out of green cardstock and used red glitter stickles on the ends just to kind of look a little bit like holly berries. And I'm going to apply this here. I'm going to adhere a lot of it down, but I'm going to leave just the ends up. Hopefully they won't catch on anything. I'm gonna put the banner down here. And then I have this little tiny flower. I got these from Michael's. It came in this pack here. And I'm just going to add this down here like this. And make this the back of the first page. Then I'm going to add just a little bit of bling around my clock. Next, I'm going to take my glossy accents and my little red gems and place some around my clock face at each of the hours on the clock. And I think I'm going to add it to the red section. So I'm going to place just a little dot in the center and see what this looks like before I do all of them. Yep, so I'm going to add all of these on. And for the ones that are covered by that stem, I'm just going to leave them off rather than put them on top because I don't think it'll look right if it's on top of them. And I think I'm going to add just some of the gold gems around on the fabric part in just random places. So I'm just going to add a few of them. I'm not going to go overboard, but just a little bit. So I hope you can see all the just shimmer and shine from the metallic pearls and then the gems. I'm going to leave this like that to dry and move on to my second cover for my second signature. For my second signature cover, I used an embossing folder. It's a Spellbinders embossing folder. I love this folder. It's just got a great pattern to it. So I just ran the front of it through. I didn't do the back. And I'm going to first start off with this die cut from the ephemera assortment. And I'm going to glue the top and the sides and the bottom. I'm going to leave this open a little bit so I can tuck some stuff into it though. So I'm going to place this just down towards the bottom edge of the page rather than being in the center of the page because of the way my embellishments are going to come out of this frame. I've cut a really small section of that ribbon from Lisa that I'm going to attach right down here across the bottom. Next, I have a tag that I used that I cut out from the Graphic 45 paper. This is from this set from the Elizabeth Craft Designs Planner Essentials. And I am going to take, I have a piece of this trim that I got, or ribbon I should say, from Lisa. And I'm going to make a little bow out of it. So I've cut about 3 inches off. And I'm just going to scrunch up my ribbon and I've got some black, just twine. I don't even know where this is from. It's so old. You can use anything here. And I'm just going to fasten this into a knot on the back side so that my ribbons are fanned out. And then I'm going to take this and then I'm going to loop it through my tag, and I'm going to knot this on the back of my tag to secure it to the actual tag itself. Once I have my tag with my bow, I'm going to tuck it into this piece here and just leave it for just a minute. I'm not going to adhere that down yet. Then I've used my smallest of my postage stamps from the Elizabeth Craft Designs Everything's Blooming collection to create this little postage stamp. So it's got 3 layers here using the Graphic 45 papers. I'm going to be tucking this just back here behind this. So I'm going to arrange this on my page so that the bottom edge of my tag is right at the bottom, so it looks like the whole entire thing is tucked in. And then I'm going to just arrange my postage stamp so that it is on the entire page, it's not hanging off, but I want it to be slightly tucked under my tag, but I don't want the bird image to be hidden either. So once I have an idea of where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and add my adhesive on the stamp first. And I'm going to place it right down on my page. Then I'm going to take my tag out and apply my adhesive onto my tag. And I'm gonna tuck this right back down in here and press it down. Next, I have a little piece of the paper that says love. I've backed it on some of the gold cardstock from the collection. And I'm going to place this just down here over top of my die cut. And then using glossy accents, I'm going to add one of the buttons from the button collection that Lisa sent in our goodie bag. I'm gonna add it right here. Then I'm going to take some of my Fabri-Tac and I'm going to glue down my bow so it's not quite as out of control. So I'm just going to place a little bit of glue and I'm going to curl the ends of my ribbon in and press it down into that glue, just to get the ends to catch so it's not quite as fluffy. If you like your bow to be fluffy, obviously you can keep it like that. There's nothing wrong with it like that. I just want it to be a little tiny bit smaller. I'm going to finish this page off by adding gems just like I did on the first one. So first I'm going to take 2 of my red gems and add them right into the center of my button over those buttonholes. And last, I'm going to add some of the metallic gold gems just to these corners where these little tiny cutouts are. And this is how I'm going to leave the front of this signature. For the back of the signature, I'm going to start with this piece of black patterns and solids and apply it into the center, and then I'm going to add all of my little embellishments from the ephemera assortment. I've taken this piece from the ephemera assortment and I've backed it onto some gold patterns and solids just to make it stand out on the paper a little bit more. And I'm going to place this here in the center. Then I have this little piece from the ephemera assortment that I've just tied a piece of that black twine from here in a bow in the center. And I'm going to be placing this just down here. And then I have my little holly and I have my little swirls. So I'm just going to play around with this until I decide where I think this looks good. And I might actually put them, there's a holly leaf on the image here. I might actually just put it over top like this. So I decided to add my little holly branch here, and I just have the center glued down so that this will be a little bit dimensional. I did glue this entire piece down, and then I'm going to just add some gems to accent this. Now I'm going to be using my red gems where my holly berries are, just to make those stand out. And then I'm going to add probably some gold gems on the page just to add some more gold and that metallic-y look. I added some of the gems on the frame, and then I've also added some, just a couple on some of the middles of my snowflakes. And I'm going to leave this folder just like this and move on to folder number 3 or signature number 3. For my third signature, I'm going to start off with the red cardstock, and I've cut 2 pieces of the trim that Lisa provided in our goodie bag for the event. I'm going to adhere these here with my Fabri-Tac. Next, I'm going to use my metallic gold cardstock with this large doily from the Everything's Blooming collection from Elizabeth Craft Designs. I'm going to place this here in the center. And then I'm going to take this piece from the ephemera assortment and place it in the center here. So that they are lined up like this. But I'm going to be placing some of my branches with the stickles for holly berries underneath of this piece. So I'm not going to put this piece on yet. I'm going to put my metallic doily down, then I'm going to add these pieces before I glue this down. And now that I have my little branches adhered down and my piece in the center, I'm going to add my gems. So I'm going to start here between each of these swoops. We did this with one of the other ones. I'm going to be placing some of my metallic gems there. So I'm going to use the gold ones. And then I'm going to add some red gems between each of these flowers. And this is how I'm going to leave the front cover of the signature. Next, we're going to work on the back cover. Now for the back of the signature, I'm going to use this piece of trim that was given to us in our goodie bag by Lisa. I did trim this down just a little bit to make it easier to work with. And I'm going to place this on here in a position that I like the look of. Because this big gap is here, I want to make sure it's not off the edge of the paper. I don't like this little ball here though, so I'm going to make sure to cut that off. And I do like this, so I think I'm going to leave it like this. I'm going to add my Fabri-Tac to my page, and I'm going to add this down first, then I will trim this off. So now that I have this all trimmed and glued down, very simple things for this page. I've got one of my die cuts. I've backed it on some green patterns and solids. I'm going to place this in the center, and then I've taken another one of the die cuts, backed it on some of the gold patterns and solids, and I'm going to place it down here at the bottom. And then I have one of the buttons from the goodie bag that Lisa sent. I just tied some of that black twine through it, and I'm going to place this here at the top. Next, I'm just going to go along here and add some gems on the centers of some of these pieces, and maybe here and there throughout, depending on how this looks. So this is how I'm going to leave the back of my signature. You can see hopefully some of the little gems. I still have some in my hand, so I don't know if I can do this or not, but hopefully you can kind of see it catching the light there. I'm going to leave all of my signatures to dry before I move on to the next step, so that will come in the next video. Don't forget to check out the description box below, where there are links to all the other YouTube channels participating in this collaboration, just so you can check out all kinds of Christmas projects. Thank you for watching and have a great day.